Have you ever wondered how a simple, everyday remedy can transform your health and well-being, especially as you age? What if there was a way to stay warm, calm your mind, and even improve your sleep, all with a natural solution that's been trusted for generations? In this video, we're diving into the incredible power of Dao, an essential oil that's more than just a quick fix for colds or muscle aches. It's a holistic tool that can enhance your life in surprising ways. Stay tuned until the end, as we uncover how Dao can not only help you sleep better but also keep your body warm during the cold months, reduce stress, and even improve circulation. You'll learn how to use this simple oil to ease sore throats, prevent strokes, and boost your overall health, making it a must-have in every home. Don't miss out on these secrets that have been passed down through generations, and discover how to apply them in your own life for better health and longevity. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. First, applying Dao to the soles helps to sleep well. Imagine the biting chill of winter evenings, when icy winds creep through every crack and crevice, seeping into your bones and robbing you of restful sleep. For Mr. Tuan, now 80 years old, this was a relentless challenge every winter. The cold would wrap around him like an uninvited guest, leaving him tossing and turning through the night. Yet, amidst these restless nights, Mr. Tuan discovered a profound secret, one that has been his faithful companion for decades. Every evening, as the world winds down, he takes a few precious drops of Dao and massages them gently onto the soles of his feet. This ritual, seemingly small and humble, has transformed his nights. The warmth it provides feels like a gentle embrace, a soothing balm against the cold that once haunted him. With each circular motion, the potent oil awakens the blood vessels beneath his skin, encouraging blood to flow freely throughout his body. His once cold feet become a source of comforting warmth, melting away the chill and welcoming the deep, uninterrupted sleep he once thought impossible. But the magic of Dao doesn't stop there. Its unique warming properties create an invisible shield that protects his body from the frigid night air. This barrier not only ensures he stays warm until morning but also fortifies him against common winter ailments like colds, coughs, and runny noses. For Mr. Tuan, these few drops of oil are more than just a remedy. They are a lifeline, keeping him healthy and resilient through the harshest seasons. Perhaps even more remarkable is how this ritual calms his mind. The gentle warmth of the Dao seems to reach beyond the skin, touching his very soul. It eases the stress and anxiety that often creep into the quiet moments of the night, especially for someone of his age. The worries of the day dissolve, replaced by a sense of peace and relaxation. With his mind at ease and his body enveloped in comforting warmth, sleep comes easily and deeply. When morning dawns, Mr. Tuan awakens feeling refreshed, clear-headed, and ready to embrace the day with vigor. He often shares this treasured habit with his family, insisting that restful sleep is the cornerstone of a long and healthy life. A good night's sleep, he says with a twinkle in his eye, is the secret to staying young at heart. And for him, Dao is the key that unlocks this nightly gift of rejuvenation. For anyone seeking similar benefits, this ritual is simple yet profoundly effective. On those cold winter nights, applying 1 or 2 drops of Dao to the soles before bed can transform your sleep. The warming oil stimulates blood circulation, helping the body relax and enter a state of deep, restorative rest. This practice also reduces the frequent awakenings that often plague sleep during changing weather, ensuring you wake up feeling truly rested. Moreover, by maintaining consistent body warmth throughout the night, Dao provides more than just immediate comfort, it offers long-term protection. As the cold seeps into the season, it acts as a safeguard, preventing ailments triggered by low temperatures. This small act of care not only enhances your nightly rest but also strengthens your overall health, laying the groundwork for a resilient and vibrant life. Incorporating this simple yet powerful habit into your evenings can create a ripple effect of well-being. It is a small investment of time and effort, but the rewards, a peaceful, undisturbed night's sleep, and the vitality to greet each new day with strength and clarity, are immeasurable. Let Dao become your secret ally in the battle against restless nights, just as it has been for Mr. Tuan, ensuring you too can find warmth, comfort, and health in every season. Second, applying Dao to the neck helps reduce coughs and sore throats. For Mrs. Lone, a loving grandmother in her 50s, Dao is not merely a remedy. It is a lifeline steeped in tradition, care, and practicality. Sensitive to even the subtlest shifts in weather, she finds herself especially vulnerable during chilly evenings or sudden cold fronts. These changes often bring an irritating cough, an itchy throat, or even the early signs of a cold. However, while others may immediately reach for medicine cabinets filled with pills and syrups, Mrs. Lone rarely resorts to such measures. Instead, she places her trust in an unassuming bottle of Dao, a remedy that has stood the test of time. When she feels the first tingling itch in her throat or the beginnings of a nagging cough, Mrs. Lone calmly retrieves her bottle of oil, as if greeting an old friend. She places a few drops into her palms, rubs them together until the warmth of her hands ignites the soothing scent, and then gently massages the oil into her neck. The heat spreads almost instantly, like a tender, loving embrace, easing the soreness and relaxing her tense muscles. The sensation is comforting, almost magical, as though the warmth of the oil carries a message of healing directly to her throat. Within minutes, her breathing becomes easier, her cough softens, and the soreness begins to dissipate, replaced by a sense of calm and well-being. This simple, ritualistic act has become a cornerstone of her self-care routine, offering not just physical relief but emotional reassurance. She marvels at how this humble oil, steeped in centuries of wisdom, works its way into her body, bringing her peace and strength. But for Mrs. Lone, the benefits of Dao go far beyond her well-being. Her deepest joy lies in caring for her grandchildren, and she lovingly extends this remedy to them whenever they show signs of discomfort. She often recounts how, one winter evening, her youngest grandchild came to her in tears, his tiny hands clutching his throat. "Grandma, it hurts," he whimpered. Without hesitation, she took her trusted bottle of Dao, applied a few drops to her hands, and began massaging his little neck with the utmost care. As the oil warmed his skin and its soothing aroma filled the room, the child's cries quieted, replaced by soft sighs of relief. Moments like these fill Mrs. Lone's heart with pride and gratitude, knowing she is passing down the timeless wisdom of natural remedies. For the children, these massages have become a comforting ritual. Whenever they feel unwell, they instinctively run to their grandmother, seeking the warm touch of her hands and the reassuring scent of the oil. Mrs. Lone knows that beyond its physical effects, the act of applying Dao fosters a sense of safety and connection. It's as if the warmth of the oil carries not only healing properties but also her boundless love and care. Watching their coughs ease and their bright smiles fills her with indescribable happiness. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The secret to Dao lies in its remarkable properties. Infused with potent antibacterial and anti-inflammatory ingredients, it targets the root causes of throat irritation by reducing inflammation and inhibiting bacterial growth. At the same time, the act of massaging the oil into the neck stimulates blood circulation and relaxes tense muscles, promoting an overall sense of relaxation and well-being. This dual action, physical relief combined with emotional comfort, makes Dao an indispensable tool in Mrs. Lone's family. Yet, despite its many benefits, Dao is not a cure-all, and its use requires caution and respect. Mrs. Lone is careful to follow age-old guidelines to ensure the oil is used safely and effectively. She knows to apply only 3 to 4 drops per session and never uses it more than 3 times a day. Sensitive areas, like the eyes or open wounds, are strictly avoided, and she ensures the oil is kept away from children under 24 months old, as well as pregnant and breastfeeding women. These precautions passed down through her family have become second nature to her, ensuring that Dao remains a safe and reliable ally in her caregiving. This small bottle of oil holds an outsized place in Mrs. Lone's life, representing far more than its medicinal properties. It is a symbol of resilience, care, and tradition, a reminder of how simple remedies can carry profound significance. Over the years, she has shared its benefits with friends and neighbors, each time emphasizing the importance of using it correctly. In her community, Dao has become more than a remedy. It is a shared legacy, a bond that connects people through their shared trust in its healing power. For Mrs. Lone, every drop of Dao carries a story. It tells of countless nights spent soothing her grandchildren, of moments when her discomfort melted away, and of the peace she feels knowing she can care for her loved ones with a remedy that is as natural as it is effective. Whether facing the biting winds of winter or the damp chills of the rainy season, she knows that Dao will always be there, offering warmth, healing, and the quiet reassurance that she can face any challenge with grace. This simple tradition, rooted in love and care, is not just a remedy. It is a testament to the power of nature, the wisdom of generations past, and the enduring strength of a grandmother's love. As her grandchildren grow, Mrs. Lone hopes they will carry forward this practice, remembering not just the warmth of the oil but the warmth of her touch, the care in her voice, and the love that made every moment of healing possible. Third, applying Dao Jiao to the Intang point helps prevent strokes. In a tranquil rural village nestled amidst the embrace of nature's seasonal extremes, 80-year-old Mr. Hung stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the wonders of ancient wisdom. Surrounded by peers who have often fallen victim to the unforgiving grip of strokes and other ailments brought on by harsh weather, Mr. Hung thrives, his vitality seemingly untouched by the passing years. His life is a stark contrast to the somber tales of loss that ripple through his community, stories of families devastated by the sudden and unexpected departures of their loved ones. Yet Mr. Hung radiates strength and clarity, a living symbol of longevity and health. What is the secret to his remarkable vitality? With a twinkle in his eye and a knowing smile, he attributes it not just to his disciplined lifestyle but to the quiet power of Dao Jiao, a humble yet transformative herbal oil. To him, Dao Jiao is not merely a remedy. It is a lifelong companion, a guardian of health that has seen him through decades of challenges and triumphs. Every day begins and ends with a ritual that has become as sacred to him as the air he breathes. At dawn, when the first light of day filters through his window, and again in the evening, before stepping into his lush garden or bustling fields, he takes a moment for himself. He carefully places a few drops of Dao Jiao on his fingertips, inhaling its distinctive aroma, a scent imbued with memories and a sense of purpose. Then, with practiced precision, he massages the Intang point, a small but powerful spot between his eyebrows often referred to as the third eye in traditional medicine. As the oil warms his skin, he feels its soothing heat radiate outward, coursing through his body like a gentle tide. It is a sensation of renewal and invigoration, as if the very essence of life itself is awakening within him. For Mr. Hung, this daily act is more than a habit. It is a profound connection to his body, his heritage, and the natural world that surrounds him. He believes this simple practice rejuvenates his blood circulation, sharpens his mind, and fortifies his spirit against the inevitable challenges of aging. The wisdom behind the ritual. The Intang point, revered in acupuncture and traditional medicine, plays a pivotal role in harmonizing the flow of blood and qi, the vital energy that sustains life. Applying Dao Jiao to this point enhances circulation, dilates blood vessels, and invigorates the body's internal balance. In Mr. Hung's experience, this ritual is nothing short of a shield against the ailments that have claimed the health of so many around him. The benefits of Dao Jiao go beyond its physical properties. Its natural antibacterial and warming qualities offer relief and protection from the cold, flu, and minor ailments. Whenever Mr. Hung feels the onset of fatigue or a faint dizziness, he turns to this trusted oil. A quick application at the Intang point restores his clarity, energizing him to tackle the tasks of the day with unwavering vigor. This practice has not only safeguarded his health but also garnered him admiration from his neighbors, who often marvel at his resilience. How does he remain so youthful and strong? They ask one another. To this, he responds with humility, sharing his secret as though it were a precious gift. For Mr. Hung, this is not just about personal well-being. It is about passing on a legacy of self-care and natural wisdom to those around him. A lifeline during changing seasons. Life in Mr. Hung's village is marked by stark seasonal contrasts. The monsoons bring relentless humidity, while the frost chills to the bone. These conditions, coupled with the physical demands of rural life, often lead to health crises. Strokes, in particular, are a silent threat that looms over the elderly in his community, claiming lives with devastating suddenness. But Mr. Hung remains steadfast, his ritual serving as a lifeline during these perilous times. On sweltering summer days, when the risk of heat stroke is high, he advises his neighbors to adopt his simple yet effective habit. Before stepping out into the heat, apply a few drops of Dao Jiao to the Intang point, he says. This act, he explains, not only increases alertness but also prepares the body to adapt to extreme temperatures, significantly reducing the likelihood of heat stroke. In the chill of winter, when cold winds seep into the bones, Dao Jiao becomes an even more vital ally. Its warming properties help to stave off respiratory issues, aches, and the general fatigue that the cold brings. For Mr. Hung, it is a comforting presence, a reminder that even the harshest conditions can be mitigated with the right care and intention. The emotional connection to a timeless remedy. Beyond its practical benefits, Dao Jiao holds deep emotional significance for Mr. Hung. To him, it is a bridge between the past and present, a symbol of continuity in a rapidly changing world. He often recalls stories from his youth, of elders who would gather around the hearth to share tales of resilience, with Dao Jiao always present as a trusted remedy. These memories infuse his daily ritual with a sense of connection to his ancestors and the wisdom they imparted. It is this emotional depth that he seeks to pass on to his descendants. Taking care of yourself is an act of love, he often says. Not just for yourself, but for those who look up to you. Watching him move confidently through his day, tending to his garden or sharing laughter with his family, one cannot help but feel inspired by his example. His vitality is not just a testament to the power of Dao Jiao, but to the resilience of a spirit that chooses to care for itself with intention and grace. Lessons for us all. Mr. Hung's story offers a profound lesson. Health and longevity are not the results of grand gestures but of small, consistent acts of care. His use of Dao Jiao on the Yintang point is a reminder that the simplest habits, rooted in tradition and mindfulness, can have the most transformative effects. For those of us seeking to safeguard our well-being, his practice serves as an invitation to reconnect with the wisdom of natural remedies. Dao Jiao is not merely an oil, it is a tool for balance, a source of energy, and a beacon of hope for those navigating the complexities of aging. By embracing such rituals, we can all aspire to live as fully and joyfully as Mr. Hung, finding resilience in every drop and writing our own stories of health and peace. Through his unwavering faith in the humble power of Dao Jiao, Mr. Hung has not only preserved his health but inspired an entire community. His life is a testament to the enduring strength of tradition and the quiet, transformative power of self-care, a story that resonates with all who hear it, urging us to cherish the gift of life with every breath we take. Story: The neighbor after my father passed away. The emptiness that followed my father's death was like a shadow that stretched across our lives, touching everything and everyone. It wasn't just his absence that hurt, it was the absence of his laughter, his advice, his very presence. For 3 long years, my mother carried the weight of this void, quietly enduring the loneliness that settled in the corners of our home. She was a woman of strength and resilience, but even the strongest among us are not immune to the ache of solitude. And then, one day, he appeared. At first glance, there was nothing remarkable about him. He was the kind of man who could walk into a room and leave without anyone noticing. Unlike my father, whose charisma had drawn people to him effortlessly, this man had no aura of grandeur, no commanding presence. He was, by all accounts, ordinary. Yet, as I would soon learn, sometimes it is the unassuming ones who leave the deepest marks on our hearts. When the matchmaker first brought up the idea of introducing him to my mother, I was skeptical. How could someone so plain fill the enormous shoes my father had left behind? But my mother, now in her early 50s, surprised me. At my age, I don't need grand romance or flashy gestures, she said with a quiet conviction. I just need someone with a kind heart, someone who will be there. She had spent more than half her life being the caregiver, the nurturer, the pillar of our family. Now, all she wanted was to find a companion who could offer her a fraction of the care and love she had given so selflessly. When he first came to meet her, he was visibly nervous. His hands trembled slightly as he smoothed down his modest shirt, his voice hesitant as he spoke. He had no illusions about himself or his situation. He knew he was at a disadvantage. His house was small, almost cramped, and his income as a retired worker was barely enough to make ends meet. To add to that, his recently married son's family relied on him for financial support. He had no impressive titles, no wealth to boast of. He was simply a man trying to make the most of what little he had. But he was also honest. On that first meeting, he looked my mother in the eye and said, "I know your life is comfortable, and I have nothing to offer that you don't already have. But if you're willing, I'd like the chance to get to know you. That's all I ask." There was something disarming about his candor. It was clear he wasn't trying to impress her. He was simply being himself. My mother, out of respect for the matchmaker, agreed to a second meeting, though she didn't expect much. What happened next surprised us all. He invited her to his home, a modest, unadorned space that spoke of a life lived simply. That afternoon, he cooked her a meal. It was nothing extravagant, a bowl of soup made from 4 types of vegetables, with pumpkin and a small portion of meat as the centerpiece. The aroma filled the small kitchen, and when my mother took her first bite, something shifted. It wasn't just the taste of the food, it was the care and attention that had gone into making it. She ate slowly, savoring each spoonful, her initial reservations melting away. Before she left, he said with a shy smile, "If you'd like, you can always come back. I may not have much, but I can always make you something with pumpkin." If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. From that day on, he stayed in her thoughts. My mother met other men in the weeks that followed, men who had more to offer in terms of wealth and status. Yet, none of them left an impression like he did. It wasn't their fault. They were good men in their own right. But my mother wasn't looking for material comfort. She already had that. What she needed was someone who could make her feel cared for, someone whose kindness could fill the gaps left by years of loneliness. And so, despite his humble circumstances, she chose him. The day they decided to formalize their relationship was a momentous one. To mark the occasion, I arranged a meal at a 5-star hotel. I wanted to show my support for my mother's choice and, if I'm honest, to display my success. The evening was grand, the chandeliers sparkled, the food was exquisite, and the atmosphere was luxurious. Yet, amidst all the grandeur, he remained humble. As we were leaving, he pulled me aside and said softly, "From now on, we're family, like father and son. But next time, don't go through all this trouble for me. A simple roadside eatery is more than enough. There, I can eat comfortably, without worry." His words hit me harder than I expected. In a few sentences, he had stripped away all the pretense, all the superficiality of the evening. His sincerity was like a mirror, reflecting my insecurities and need for validation. I had wanted to impress him, to show him that we were above his station. Instead, he had shown me the power of humility and authenticity. The days that followed were a period of quiet reflection. I couldn't stop thinking about him, about the way he had welcomed my mother into his life without expecting anything in return, about the simple yet profound way he expressed his love through actions rather than words. He wasn't just a man marrying my mother. He was a lesson in humility, a reminder that the greatest wealth lies not in material possessions but in the depth of one's character. Their union brought unexpected joy to our lives. He became a part of our family, not just as my mother's husband but as a father figure to me. And while he may not have had the charisma or achievements of my father, he had something just as valuable, a heart big enough to love us all, despite his limitations. Looking back, I realize how much he taught me without even trying. He showed me that love doesn't need to be grand or perfect to be meaningful. Sometimes, it's the quiet, unassuming gestures, the bowl of pumpkin soup, the gentle words, the unwavering presence, that leave the most lasting impact. And so, the man who once seemed so ordinary became extraordinary in the simplest, most beautiful way. He reminded us all that even in the shadow of loss, love has the power to heal, restore, and bring light where there was once only darkness. He had always taken remarkable care of my mother, treating her with a kindness that spoke volumes about his character. Every time he saw me, he would gently tease me about losing weight, always in a light-hearted, cheerful tone. His laughter had a warmth to it, one that could fill a room with ease. And his cooking, oh, his cooking, was nothing short of extraordinary. Each dish he made was infused with love and care that made every meal feel like a special occasion. One day, as we sat down to eat together, I casually mentioned to my wife that she should spend some time learning from Uncle Lai the next time he cooked. His culinary skills were worth preserving, I thought. But my wife's reaction was not what I expected. Her expression was one of irritation, even anger. Sensing the tension, Uncle Lai quickly spoke up, his voice humble yet filled with a quiet dignity. He explained that cooking was the only thing he had ever been good at. His life, as he saw it, hadn't amounted to much beyond preparing meals. He urged us not to follow his example, pointing out that his children were all successful in their careers and far removed from the simplicity of his life. "If you ever want to eat," he added with a self-deprecating laugh, "just come here. I'll cook for you any time. I only worry that one day, there will be no one left to eat the dishes I make." When he left that evening, he packed up food and handed it to us with great care, as though each item carried a part of him. Holding my hand tightly, he softly asked me not to praise his cooking anymore. "Honestly," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "every time someone mentions how good my cooking is, I feel so shy. A man who only knows how to cook and nothing else. How could he possibly deserve praise? There was a deep sadness in his words, an unspoken regret that his life had been reduced, in his eyes, to this singular skill. On the way home, I recounted his words to my wife, expecting some sympathy. Instead, she dismissed him, saying, "He's just a miser. Some people are born to serve others, bowing down to the ground their entire lives." Her tone was sharp, almost contemptuous, and I felt a quiet discomfort settle in my chest. I didn't argue with her. After all, he was just an outsider, wasn't he? But was he? When I moved into my new house, it was Uncle Lai and my mother who came to help prepare everything, following traditional customs. He was meticulous in his work, ensuring everything was just right. Yet, when it came time to eat, he refused to take his rightful place at the elders' table. Instead, he disappeared, reappearing only after the guests had left, quietly cleaning up the mess left behind. He carefully packed the leftover food into containers, taking it home for himself. My mother, noticing his actions, felt a pang of guilt. She gently chided him, asking why he always ate leftovers. "Do you know how it makes me feel to see you like this?" she asked, her voice heavy with emotion. But he smiled at her, his expression calm, and said, "Don't feel uncomfortable. Seeing waste makes me uneasy. Every meal costs money and effort, and if it's thrown away, it's a loss that helps no one. At least this way, the hard work doesn't go entirely to waste." His words carried a weight that stayed with me. It was a rare glimpse into his mind, where practicality and humility coexisted with an unspoken longing for recognition. Over time, my feelings toward him began to change. I started noticing the countless small ways he had been supporting us all along, fixing broken pipes, running errands, picking up the grandchildren from daycare, and staying by my mother's side when she was in the hospital. He sacrificed his rest and comfort to ensure we were all taken care of. And yet, he never sought acknowledgement or gratitude. Then, one day, the unthinkable happened. Uncle Lai suffered a stroke, leaving him half-paralyzed and bedridden. The man who had spent his life quietly and selflessly serving others was now rendered helpless. It was devastating to witness, and as I reflected on his life, a profound sense of regret washed over me. I had been blind to his quiet heroism, dismissing him as an outsider when, in truth, he had been the backbone of our family. His humility, his selflessness, and his love, though unspoken, had been the most extraordinary gifts of all. My son and I clung to a fragile hope when his treatment began, optimistic that he would recover quickly and resume his role as the pillar of our family, enduring life's weariness and labor for us. But that hope was shattered when he could no longer even stand. Once a man whose smile could brighten any room, he had become frail and broken, often reduced to tears. My mother devoted herself to his care, but even her presence couldn't console him. Every time she approached, he wept silently. When we pushed his wheelchair through the village, his tears fell uncontrollably. In the hospital, the realization of the money slipping through our hands for his treatment crushed his spirit, leaving him despondent. He cried endlessly, his sorrow spiraling into despair so deep that he took a razor to his wrists, attempting to end his life. The frantic rush to the emergency room, the desperate fight to save him, it was a cruel, exhausting battle. 5 agonizing hours later, he was pulled back from death, but his spirit was irreparably shattered. What we never anticipated, what broke him more than his illness, was the abandonment by his own son, the one he had cherished above all else. His son, once a beacon of pride, stopped visiting altogether, offering flimsy excuses of being busy with work. Every call was a knife to the heart, his son promising to visit someday but never showing his face. And then came the unthinkable betrayal. My mother, his partner, suggested separating from him. They had never been officially married, merely companions sharing a life. But now, when he was at his most vulnerable, she wanted to leave. She confided to me, tearfully, that she was too old, too weary to care for him any longer. She couldn't shoulder the weight of his disability. It tore at my conscience, forcing me into the cruel role of the messenger. I had to be the one to tell him. I went to him in the hospital, my voice trembling, my heart breaking. "Uncle Lai," I began, tears spilling uncontrollably, "Mother and I are sick too." He stared at me, his tear-streaked face reflecting his shattered soul. I forced myself to continue, each word like a dagger to my own heart. "You know, Mother and I are old now. You've seen how things are." He wept silently but nodded in understanding. "Uncle Lai," I added with great difficulty, "we still have to work. We can't do this anymore. Please understand." When he was discharged, I arranged for a place for him, renting a mausoleum for his future and hiring workers to fix up his house. Not for him, but to quiet the unbearable guilt gnawing at me. The day he returned home, I didn't go to see him off. I sent a driver, who later told me, even his son didn't do this much for him. Those words brought me fleeting solace, but they couldn't ease the heavy burden in my chest. New Year's Day arrived, a celebration that once filled our home with warmth and joy. Without him, the house felt hollow, an emptiness we couldn't ignore. My son, too young to understand the complexities of what had transpired, voiced what we all felt but didn't dare to admit. "I wish Grandpa were here," he said. His innocent words shattered the fragile equilibrium we had built. My wife, frustrated and overwhelmed, lashed out, slapping him in an attempt to silence the unbearable truth. But his words lingered, echoing in our hearts, unraveling any semblance of peace we had convinced ourselves we'd found. That night, I looked into the rearview mirror and saw my mother's eyes, red and glistening with unspoken grief. It was the 30th day of Tet, a day meant for joy, family, and togetherness. Yet, it was steeped in sadness, a poignant reminder of all we had lost and the heavy price we had paid for what we thought was survival. Last year feels like a distant memory, a bittersweet echo of a time when our family was still whole, still wrapped in the quiet warmth of Uncle Lai's presence, a presence that none of us realized was slipping away. Our home radiated joy, the kind that only comes from a shared bond of love and unspoken connection. But now, as Tet unfolds, he is not here. He is celebrating elsewhere, with people who are strangers to us. And in the silence of this absence, questions haunt me. Does he think of us? Does he miss the laughter, the meals, the warmth we once shared? Or did our indifference cut deeper than we ever imagined? Did we, in our negligence, make him feel forgotten and unloved? The sound of the Tet drum stirred something in me, a gnawing sense of urgency that could no longer be ignored. I drove to his place, a small, cold house that mirrored the loneliness I feared he felt. When he opened the door, his slow, deliberate movements and the forced smile on his face betrayed emotions he tried to hide. Tears welled up in his eyes, and they mirrored my own. Inside, the emptiness of his home was a stark contrast to the bustling warmth we once shared. My heart ached, guilt piercing through me like a dagger. Without hesitation, I picked up my phone and called his son. My voice trembled with anger and sorrow as I chastised him. "How could you leave him like this? This is your father." Then, as if compelled by an invisible force, I rolled up my sleeves and began making dumplings. It wasn't much, but it was an attempt to bring a shred of Tet warmth to his desolate home. When we sat together, eating dumplings in silence, tears began to fall again. Each bite was heavy with memories of last year, of the laughter, the joy, and the family we once were. That morning, as the first day of Tet began, I vowed to do better. For him, for myself, and for the family I wanted to rebuild. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. On my way home, I called his son again. This time, my words were harsher, filled with a righteous anger that even I struggled to contain. "How can you abandon your father like this? We are nothing if we lose our humanity and our compassion. Have we become so lost that we let him suffer alone? If we fail to honor him now, what does that say about us? One day, you will carry the burden of regret, and it will crush you." My frustration turned inward as well. I hated myself for not acting sooner, for not being better. When I arrived home, my wife tried to dissuade me. "Even his son doesn't care," she said. But I looked her in the eye and replied, "He is family. And if we abandon him, we abandon the very values that make us human. Loving him isn't just an obligation, it's a choice, one that defines who we are. I want to live with a clear conscience. I want to know I've done everything I could." My mother, overhearing this, broke down in tears. "I didn't know you felt this way," she said, clutching my hand tightly. "I'm proud of you." As we sat together that evening, my son came to me, his voice soft but resolute. "Dad," he said, "please don't send Grandpa away again. I'll take care of him too." His words filled me with a hope I hadn't felt in years. "Grandpa is part of us," he added, his eyes shimmering with sincerity. "He makes us better. He makes us love harder." In that moment, I realized that this wasn't just about Uncle Lai. It was about the legacy we were building, the values we were passing down to our children. Later that night, as we shared stories and laughter, I thought about how little parents truly ask for. A kind word, a warm meal, a gentle touch. These small acts of love mean the world to them. They ask for so little, and yet they give so much. I found myself wondering if my children would treat me this way someday. I believe in the cycle of life, that the love we give to our parents now will return to us through our children. Dear friends, filial piety is not just a duty, it is a sacred bond, one of the purest expressions of love. Our parents don't need us to be the best, they need us to do our best. Time is unforgiving, and the chance to honor them is fleeting. One day, they will be gone, and the weight of missed opportunities will be unbearable. Let us cherish them now, while we still can. Let us show them the gratitude they deserve, not with grand gestures, but with the steady, unwavering love they have always given us. In this fleeting life, there is no greater regret than wanting to be filial when it's too late. As we reach the end of this heartfelt story, it's time to reflect. What have you learned from this journey of love, family, and redemption? What stood out to you as a lesson that you can carry forward into your own life? Please share one thing you've learned and how you plan to put it into practice in the comments below. Your insights could inspire others to embrace compassion and strengthen their bonds with loved ones. If you enjoyed this video, let us know by leaving a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Together, let's keep spreading love, wisdom, and kindness. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.